Hey, everyone.
Hey.
We just want to give a few minutes to our other folks that want to join us this afternoon. And so if we can give it a couple of minutes, for those of you who are prompt, we appreciate that. But it is very difficult sometimes to get on right when it's time because our schedules don't always permit that. So we just want to give a little grace in a couple of minutes or so.
And sometimes we have Zoom problems.
And sometimes you have Zoom problems. Yeah.
I can't get in.
Like our precious Mike Foles said at our graduation yesterday that there's a new 4-letter word that he's learned in the last few weeks, and it's Zoom.
Zoom.
So if you don't get that, you should understand after today's presentation what that actually means. So anyways, we trust that things are going well for you. We trust that you are healthy and strong in the Lord especially. And in just a few minutes, we'll get started with this week's presentation. Any comments for the pre-show, the pre-drill?
Yeah, we didn't rehearse that dance we were going to do.
Oh, yeah, we were going to do a mob, what do you call it, flash mob thing? But
TikTok.
But, I've got rhythm, I just don't have any style, so it's
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited about the new school year starting.
Yeah, I am too. I think it's going to be great.
Look, most of you probably want to come through the screen and rip my head off when I say, I wish it was the first day of school. I'm so excited for the new school to start, so you get a whole summer. It's okay.
That's why he's here. He brings that energy that we need. So just about one more minute, and then we will get started. So what are our numbers looking like? Are we getting people in?
Huh?
It's interesting today that today was the last day of school on the calendar. So we saw more families today than we've seen in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And
they might still be at lunch. I don't know.
Some people might be at lunch.
Might be celebrating last day of school.
Well, it's a good day.
It is a good day.
And celebrating's good too. We have an echo.
Mrs. Gravlin's going to mute that. There we go.
It's called the digital delay. Uh-oh.
We apologize.
This is not
Your computer's on mute?
Test of the emergency broadcasting system. It just sounds like it.
Or Zoom is muted.
Yeah, we're on mute now.
Where's that coming from? Where is
Mute
that?
your volume for your computer.
Where's that coming from?
It's her laptop.
That's not possible, is it?
Here comes help.
Earlier we were talking about having a Zoom problem. This is a
We might be
this
on
is
mute.
a technology problem.
Shows that we're on mute.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think we are on mute. Taylor, are we on mute? Because it shows the mute button in the bottom left corner. Look see? See there, bottom left corner.
Well, we were coming through on that echo.
Okay. So
All
we're
right.
good. All right, let's start.
All right, let's go. I want to thank you for joining us again this week, and we value your time and appreciate you watching live or recording. The purpose of this webinar is to share some background on how God has brought Rancho Santa Margarita Christian School to life, and also to answer some questions you may have about the school. We know many of you are primarily concerned about changes that will be implemented as a result of COVID-19. We want to let you know that we are actively working on a plan, and we'll be releasing this information to you very soon. Remember, a couple of weeks ago, we let you know that the earliest that we would be getting that out to you would be June 15th. So we're still there. So our plan is to have it out to you sometime next week, but please be patient with us as many things are changing. So make sure that you check your Parent Square and any emails that come from the school. Our effort is to keep you as informed as possible. For those of you who were not here last week or the week before, I want to reintroduce our admin team for RSM Christian. Ryan Odo, our senior pastor at the Bridge, which is our spiritual covering, is celebrating his senior, graduating from high school today. And so he's not with us, but he sends his best regards. And then we have Lori Jensen, our principal, coming from Saddleback Valley. We're very excited to have her, and she's going to contribute so much that we're not going to be able to handle it. So Mike Margy is a familiar face to many of you. He's coming back to be amongst us. He'll be our vice principal. So in today's discussion, we're going to ask Mr. Margy to share with us a little about himself, his background in Christian education, and what led him to join RSM Christian. After that, we will answer your questions. We have a number of questions that were submitted in advance. You will also have the option of submitting a question during the call today. So keep in mind that you need to use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to submit a question. We would ask that you do not use the chat function or raise your hand, as we are not able to respond in real time to your comments. So, we're going to start off with the first question, or do we want to start off with your bio? What do you want to do? Let's do your bio.
Let's start with me.
All right, there we go.
And those of you who know me, you know that I'm not comfortable talking in front of large. No, that's not true. If you know me, you know that I love it. Bring the people on. I love talking to the people, and I'm excited to be here. I'm so overwhelmingly excited. I can't put into words how excited I am to be home. I don't have to do this anymore that I'm home, because now I am home. I'm done with my old school. I am here. I'm home. I'm so excited. Just a little bit about me. I was born and raised in the San Fernando Valley, and I eventually went to San Diego State, which I thought was kind of cool because I was far enough away from home where I could be away from home, but close enough where my dad could still come and get me if I needed to or whatever. I married my wife, Stacy. It'll be 24 years next month, our anniversary, so I'm excited. She still loves me for some reason, and I absolutely adore her. If you know her, you know she's an amazing woman. And we have 2 kids. Justice will be 22 tomorrow, and Noah turned 20 a month ago tomorrow on May 12th. We love our family, we love our kids. After San Diego State, I actually was a sports writer for 13 years. I wrote for many different newspapers down in San Diego, and at the time, I'm a full-on athlete. I love sports. I've played them all. To be a sports writer as a dude, it was like the coolest thing ever. My friends were envious. You know, you're in the locker rooms, you're on the airplanes with the teams, you're in the press box. You know, you're on the field. It's so much fun, and I absolutely loved every minute of it. It was my dream. And when I met my wife, Stacy, I started to substitute teach for her mom. Her mom was a principal at a local school here. And I would just go and do some substitute teaching when I had some days off or whatever, just to help out, you know, a few extra dollars. And I started to realize, oh my gosh, I love this. This is so awesome. And I remember going home one day, coming home from work at the newspaper, and I remember we were just barely married, maybe 2 years or so. Our son was probably about 1. So yeah, 2 or 3 years we've been married. And I told Stacy, I said, you better sit down. There's something I need to tell you. And you know, you never know how that conversation could go. And I remember I was the one who actually sat down, not her. And I remember she was cooking dinner. She was making spaghetti that night. I remember it like it was yesterday. And I said, sweetie, I think I want to go back to school and become a teacher. And I was waiting for this, like, no way, we can't afford that. But she said, you know what? You should. You're supposed to do that. And so I went back to school. I got my teaching credential. I started teaching. And I taught for about, I think it was 9 years for my mother-in-law. She was my principal, if you could imagine that. Your mother-in-law is your principal. That was only good, in case she's watching. It was. She was an awesome principal, and it was pretty awesome. And then those of you who remember Mr. Sladek, he actually, I coached his kid in Little League, and he came to me one day and said, hey, Mike, we would love for you to come over to Mission Hills. He was the principal here at the time. That was 10 years ago. And I said, I just can't do that. My son's in 6th grade. He wants to graduate with his friends. And my younger son is going to be in 4th grade. So he was going to be in my class that year because we only had one class at every grade. And so he wanted to be in my class. And so I said, no. I said, Bob, I just can't do that. And lo and behold, a year later, he called me back again and said, hey, we want you to come again. We have a 5th grade opening. I was like, oh my gosh, this is it, because my older son was going into junior high. We didn't know where we were going to put him. And I said, you know what? I prayed about it. I said, you know what? Okay, we'll take it. And so I came here and I taught here for 8 years. And it was the best 8 years of my career. Teaching, newspaper, whatever it was the greatest 8 years I'd ever had. And then I went back to school. I got my master's just last year, and I'll talk about a little bit about that later. And then I was offered a job here, and I can't explain how ecstatic I am that I get to be back home with my family, because I still know so many of you. And I saw a bunch of you at graduation yesterday. I've seen a lot of you just walking around campus over the last couple of weeks. And I'm just excited that the Lord has called me to be home. And I know we're going to do, the three of us, we're going to do, plus Ryan, we're just going to do great things on this campus. We're going to invigorate some of that energy into this school, and we're going to do great things. And so I'm excited to be home. And if you ever want to just chat or ask me more questions about me, I'm like a girl. I talk a lot, probably because I've worked with nothing but women for the last 20 years, and so now I'm kind of like one of them. I like shopping. My wife thinks I'm crazy because I like going to the store and watching her try on clothes. Yeah, that looks good, and I just like sitting there and hanging out at the mall. I do like going to the mall. I admit that.
You can't right now.
I can't go to the mall. I can't
No.
go to the mall. So anyway, in a nutshell, that's me. I'm always here to answer any questions about me, and, I'll just talk your ear off.
So, Mike, we were going to try to work on how to really help you express yourself and tell us how you really feel about things, because I know that's
Bring you
something
out of
that,
your shell.
I struggle with my emotions, if I don't wear my heart on my sleeve. I don't really share personal.
He's very quiet.
Yeah, no, it's just not
We need to
me.
bring you out of that
Not me.
shell.
But
Just a little
thank
bit
you,
more.
thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that
Work
with
on it.
us, Mike. That's important that people know you as we move forward. Well, we're going to go to the first question here, and it's an interesting one. It says, "Why did Mr. Margy leave Mission Hills in the first place?"
So, how much time do we have left here?
You don't have any more time. You're out. You just have to
Yeah.
answer the question.
Well, that is a phenomenal question. I want to give a shout out to Dana Gravelin sitting right over there, because she shared the question with me beforehand. And even though I know the answer and I could spit out all the answer, just having it beforehand so that I took all these notes so that I could remember not to forget anything, because the journey from leaving Mission Hills to coming back to now RSM Christian, it's a crazy story. I love telling the story. If you ever see me on campus and you want to talk about it, I'll give you even greater details about it. Whoever asked the question, thank you. God bless you for asking the question. I think it's a great question. But I think I'm so excited to share this story with you, because I think what it does is it gives all the glory to God in everything. You'll see the story, the big circle that I've come in, and and I want to give God all the credit and all the glory for it, because I had nothing to do with it. All I tried to do was listen. It tells of God's faithfulness and God's love, and so here's the story. Leaving Mission Hills almost 2 years ago to the day now, probably about a week or so ago, it was 2 years. It was probably the most difficult, most burdensome thing for my heart that I've ever had to do for any job or any really decision that I've ever had to make in my life. Deciding to ask my wife to marry her, that was a piece of cake. I was pretty sure she was going to say yes, easy. Transitioning from being a newspaper writer to a teacher, piece of cake. Even going and spending 18 months to get my master's, even though I was working till 2 o'clock in the morning pretty much every day of the week for 18 straight months, piece of cake compared to this. I will say that I fought God on this one. We fought. We struggled. I struggled. He sat back and laughed at me. But I struggled I did not take this decision, this moving, lightly at all. You can ask my wife. I had, and I'm not exaggerating, but I had tears coming down my face because I did not know what to do. I honestly did not know what to do. For me, when I hear from God, I don't get signs from God. A lot of, like my wife, and especially my mother-in-law, they have like God on speed dial, 911, they can hear. They just ask and he answers, like they can hear. That's not how it works for me. I hear from God through other people, through, adults. I was telling the story the other day to one of my former students, Camden, if you're watching, Camden. She came to me one day, and back when I was struggling, because she was in my 6th grade class here at that time, and I was struggling with this decision, and I wasn't sharing that with the students. They didn't need to know all that. And she just came to me and just started chatting one day, and I went home and I said, oh my gosh, that was God speaking to me through a 12-year-old. That's how God speaks to me, through other people. As long as I continue to focus and listen, I will hear God speaking to me through other people. And so that's how I hear from God. So I don't see those kinds of signs. And I was pretty sure me leaving Mission Hills was not what God wanted. He did not want me to leave Mission Hills. Lo and behold, I was very, very wrong. But everyone said I should take the job. I was offered a job at Mission Viejo Christian. I know that's kind of a dirty word on this campus, but that's another thing. Because look, we're all Christians. More Christian schools, the better. So I was offered a job at Mission Viejo Christian, and I struggled, and I struggled, and I struggled. Everyone said I should take the job. My mom, my wife, my son, even some other teachers at the school, when I told them the situation, they said, yes, you just need to take that. It's the right thing for you. And I kept saying, no, I don't want to go, because this was my home. I wanted to die here. I wanted to be here where they had to pry me away dead and cold before I would leave this campus. This is where my heart was. This is where I belong. This was my family. Every student, every parent, every faculty, teacher, office personnel, this was my family. My wife would often accuse me of liking being here at school more than I liked being at home. It's not true, but it's really close. I love this place. And so I remember it was getting time where I had to make the decision. And I said, Lord, and I remember saying this out loud. I actually was praying this out loud. I said, Lord, I am just a stupid idiot. And now, if you know me, you know that I do not like the words stupid or idiot. I do not like to say them out loud. I'm uncomfortable just saying them out loud. But I'm telling you, this is what I said. Lord, I'm a stupid idiot. If you can find it in your heart, please just give me one more sign that you want me to go. And I woke up the next morning, and I had an email from Mrs. Koyeff. For those of you who know who Mrs. Koyeff is, she sent me an email with a devotional in it. And the devotional basically said that I needed to let go of the dock and get out into the choppy waters, that God could not refine me and grow me unless I got out into the choppy waters. And I know that the Lord prefers obedience over sacrifice. And I knew that at that point, I had to be obedient to what he wanted me to do. And by going to Mission Viejo Christian, I was able to be a part of the administrative process and see how it worked and get the experience and finish my master's. And clearly, 2 years later, God was doing an amazing work in me and through me. And even though I started to grow to love the students and parents at Mission Viejo Christian, every day when I would drive home from campus, I'd have to come down Alicia Parkway, and there off to the right was Mission Hills. Every single day for 2 straight years. And there wasn't a day that went by that I didn't look over at it just with a longing in my heart. And so when it came time to make a decision to come back here, I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, you know my heart's desire. I want nothing more than to be back at Mission Hills. I want it, I want it, I want it. And I prayed this, Lord, if you do not want me at Mission Hills, which is now RSM Christian, I'm sorry if I say Mission Hills, but if you don't want me at Mission Hills, you need to take the desire off my heart, because you know what my desire is and you know what I want. And he did not take that desire off my heart. And lo and behold, here we are today, and I get to be a part of it. He has given me my heart's desire times 10, and I am so overjoyed to be home. And I'm so blessed to call you and you now my friends, my coworkers, my bosses, And I am just ecstatic to be here. And if you have any other questions about it, I will be glad to answer them. But really, in a mini nutshell, that's why I left, and that's how I got back.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Mike. That's amazing. That's a great story, and it means a lot to us to have you come back. There's a question for Mike. It's twofold, so I'm going to address it before I turn it back over to him. It says, what does being in charge of student affairs or student life really mean? And it says it seems as if we already had admin handling that in the past. I want to talk to you about it, that as Christian school leaders, all of us are involved with student life. All of us are involved with the lives of the students. But because of lack of resources in personnel, oftentimes we have to do double duty
Or triple duty.
Or triple, or yeah. And this year we've been blessed to be able to bring in an academic principal in Mrs. Jensen, but also as vice principal, Mr. Mike Margy is going to be able to pay very close attention to your kids. His time will not be divided among other administrative duties like Mrs. Jensen and like mine will be. So we're very pleased that in the past we haven't been able to do that. So I'm going to give him an opportunity just to give some more details about what he's going to be doing.
So I think in charge of student affairs was the question, right?
Student life.
Student affairs, student
Yeah.
life. I think that really means basically that the vice principal will oversee everything that's student oriented, whether it's academics, athletics, the theater productions, discipline, whatever it is, that the vice principal kind of oversees that, and really anything that's student related. I think that the second part of the question where it says, Phil sort of addressed that, or did address that really the past several years the administration here has been, it was kind of cut back, and so it really wasn't, there really wasn't a designated person for this role. And so now that we are fully staffed again, we're so blessed to be able to be fully staffed. Basically, traditionally, the vice principal is the one who handles the area of student life or student affairs.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah. And I think just to add to that, just to know, I love being with the kids, but I know this year I'm also going to be spending a lot of time with teachers and teacher training. So just the fact that there's someone designated on campus that if a student needs to talk to someone that day, we've got Mike, who is a great listener. We might have to pry it out of him to talk to the kids. I don't know. But he's a great listener, godly man who's going to instill godly wisdom into the lives of these kids and just be that other voice to speak into their lives, whether they're at a basketball practice or just hanging at lunch. I think the students, it's going to be incredible to just know that's the guy that if I need someone, I have all my teachers, I understand that. But beyond that, I think just having that presence, I think, is going to be amazing.
And I think a great blessing, too, is that there are still so many siblings on this campus that I've taught. Mm-hmm. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, there's still siblings on the campus. So I love the fact that I get to come in, and I'm not just coming in cold. Mm-hmm. I know so many people already and have relationships with a lot of people. So I'm looking forward to meeting every student, every parent.
Mm-hmm. And let me just add on that a little bit, too. In the last year and a half since I've been here, having to handle the administrative duties, principal's duties, I love the kids too. And I have felt like, God, I just don't have the time and the energy to pour into them. So to have someone designated to take care of the kids directly is such a blessing to me, and it will be a blessing to you and to your kids. And then having Mrs. Jensen come in just to really pay attention to our wonderful teachers, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing. So, mm-hmm. And Mrs. Jensen, would you?
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
If you do have a question to ask, please start sending those questions our way. Make sure you use the Q&A function on Zoom, which is at the bottom of your screen. But please start sending those questions to us.
Otherwise, you're going to have to see them do a TikTok dance.
Or something of that nature.
Yeah.
arm
And that will
wrestling.
be really
Arm
scary,
wrestling.
let me
Rock,
tell you.
paper, scissors.
She could probably beat me, so it's like that wouldn't even be fair. So, Mrs. Jensen, would you handle the next question and just expound upon that a little bit?
The next question, would you?
It's
have my
any updates on teachers
Teachers.
for next year?
Sure. So I have just yesterday finished meeting with the current teachers and then the potential future teachers. Now that that's done and we've had all of those discussions, by Monday, everyone should know where they're going to live next year as far as what grade levels, who their team teacher is going to be if they have a team teacher. And as soon as we have all of that finished by Monday, then we will start releasing it to the families with pictures and bios, however we want to submit that to you. So you should have that information and have a face to go with your child's teacher by the middle of next week.
And do we plan on, I know the answer to this question, I'm going to let you answer, having more than one class per grade?
Yes, our goal, and we are really pushing forward with that, to have more than one class per grade level. The only grade level, and I think I mentioned it last week, the only grade level that might stay one class is fourth grade right now. So if you have any fourth grade friends, bring them on with you, because we would love to grow that class and have a great time next year. Thank you, Mr. Margy.
Yes. While you're there, we have another great question about an enrollment update. Would you like to update us with that?
Yes, so our enrollment has grown since last week. We're up to 183 that have fully enrolled, finished the whole process of enrollment. And then there are 29 that have applied, but they haven't completed the whole enrollment package. So 29 plus 83, if those numbers stay firm, we would be at
212.
212, thank you. I'm not a math person, but
Wait, it's summer vacation. We don't have to
that's true.
do math.
That's true. Last day of school today. I didn't need to
I don't know
that.
if any of you have heard your kids say that one before.
Yes, the next question is, will we continue to have Mrs. Lyles as our resource teacher? Yes, I've already met with Mrs. Lyles. We've talked about next year. We've talked about the needs that she might have in reaching the needs of our own students. So we have met, and she's really excited. I've only talked with her a couple of times, but oh my goodness, what a gem. She's great.
And I think to kind of go along with that one too, we'll get to that question in a second. That's awesome.
You don't know the history behind that.
Coach, no, I don't. Well, I've heard some stories. Coach Violi, I'll be meeting with her on Monday. We're doing full-on athletics, and the great part about this too is now, Mission Hill's already had good athletics, but now we get to bring over some Saddleback Valley Christian athletes as well. And so I'm looking forward to an even better athletic season than we've had in the last several years. So that'll be great.
Oh, awesome.
Great.
I love athletics too, so I'm excited about that.
Oh, I can't wait to hear the answer to this one
If,
myself.
if you remember last year, we had the ball drop and to reach our goal, the reward to the students was to have me spend a day on the roof and do my work from the roof. Thank the Lord we have wireless technology. But as you also know, too, I had a very serious health issue that kept me from that. And when it kept coming up, I had one particular board member who said, "You are not going on the roof." Okay? So we will still do that. Okay? And that's still on the docket. So we have not forgotten. We have not neglected that. We just have to make sure that Mr. Lewis can get up and down a ladder without too many problems.
You need me to do that one for you? I can.
Well, Mike says he wants to do it.
I've been on the roof many times, so whatever. I kissed a llama. For those of you who remember science camp many years ago, I had to kiss the llama. So
I still maybe we should do it together.
yeah, we'll go out there and play ball.
Then
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Mrs. Jensen will have to run the school if we're both up there.
We might not come down.
So yes,
Yeah.
All right. You want me to read that one for you? You want to read
Yes, if you want to read that one.
It says, can you further explain what a, quote, mixed class is? And can you be more specific? Does it mean a combo class? I'm not sure if that's...
kind of
Yeah.
maybe
Did
the
I
same.
say mixed? Did I say mixed class? Mixed class would be a combo class, which we are not going to have next year. We want to make sure that the students have a fourth grade teacher if they are in fourth grade and a specific fifth grade teacher if they are in fifth grade. Combo classes are great sometimes, but really our desire for our kids is to have a focused classroom instruction for just their grade level. So hopefully that answers that question.
Another thing is many people have asked the question about junior high. So if we have a class of, say, 38th graders,
Which
they're
we're
not,
getting close to.
which we're getting close to, which is a real blessing.
Yeah.
There's sections of 8th grade, and so it's not two separate classes like you might see in the other grades, but different kids are assigned to math based on their assessments. They might have Bible all at the same time. 30 of them might be all in one class, and we typically use our science lab for that. But per subject, like science, history, and language arts, we would typically divide those classes up so that there's would be 15 kids in each class, which is really, really manageable. Mm-hmm. And so let me say this. Last week I shared some math with you. Our goal will be to reach 40 students per grade level, which means in elementary that would be 20 kids per class. And all the way up through junior high, we still have that opportunity to mix the classes with, it's the same group, but they're not together all the time because it's kind of like a department like they'll get in high school. That would give us about 360 students total, K through 8. And we add our preschool on top of that, we could very easily be above 400. So those are really good questions because they're not obvious. But we do want you to know that we are committed to smaller classrooms and to each grade level, especially K through 6th grade, having their own teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a date for our worship concert? Because that was put off. And the answer is yes.
Yay.
July 23rd. Put it on your calendar. It's vertical worship. It's going to be awesome. If you need more information, you can always pop your head into the office, turn left, and you're going to find Joe Shabbat. And Joe would love to talk to you about it if you want to add anything to it or contribute anything like that. Also, if you are a member of the Bridge or not a member of the Bridge, we're having an outdoor night of worship next Friday, which is June 19th. It'll be right out on the kind of the grass and parking lot area right here in the middle lot. So if you want to come out for that, we're excited. I'm excited because it'll be the first time we're going to be able to get together as the Bridge in a long, long time. So yeah, we have some good worship coming up for sure.
Okay, so there's a question here. It says, will we know if we're going back full time before tuition becomes due on June 22nd for next school year? It's really hard to get information out to you guys and have it comprehended and retained. It is our goal to have regular school next year, students fully on campus. But we are preparing in case something like this happens again, we're preparing for the eventuality of distance learning if we ever need it. But that's not our intention. As we've surveyed and talked to other schools, even public schools are talking about at least being open, but because we have a smaller student body and we have a smaller community, we're going to have more options and more choices for how we conduct our daily operations of the school. It is best for us to be fully operational, and that is our intention. Here again with a disclaimer that says we don't know if things will change, but things seem to be lightening up more and more, and the more they lighten up, the better we have of having more normal school. So it is our intention to give you a full detail of what that's going to look like and the precautions that we're taking. That's going to be coming out very soon. I regret that we haven't been able to get it to you sooner, but we have been working on it, and we'll continue to work on that and get that out to you as soon as possible. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and it's a combo too of, I know that we've been working on the document together. It's a combo of, we've looked at some public schools, we've looked at private schools, we've looked at the CDC, we've looked at county, guidelines and regulations. So yeah, it's something that, like Mr. Lewis said, we're totally working on and putting together. So it'll be good. School colors and mascot. So the school colors are going to be purple and green, and the mascot is a hedgehog.
You guys like that?
People are probably like, what did you just say? I thought that'd be fun, little tiny hedgehog. We don't know the answer to that. However, I am meeting with Coach Violi, who's the athletic director on Monday, and we will be getting the ball rolling. The three of us are working on things like Mr. Lewis said with the whole, are we going back to school, the COVID-19 thing, and getting handbooks and policies together, and hiring the teachers and those kinds of things. But yes, that is definitely on our radar. And starting Monday, when I meet with with Coach Violi, then we will kind of start zooming forward on that one.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I was under the impression that we had kind of come up with a color scheme. Is that correct?
Dodger blue and white is what Ryan.
Am I correct,
said.
or am I missing something? Because I don't want to perpetrate wrong information. School colors, aren't we looking at blue and white? Steel blue.
Still.
It's a different shade of blue.
Okay.
That will look really cool. We'll be releasing it very soon.
And what color was Saddleback Valley?
Silver, black, and royal blue.
Okay, and
Okay.
we were blue and white.
And we were blue
here.
and white.
Yeah.
So the color scheme is going to be
It'll be close to the
fairly
same.
close, but it'll also have its own unique distinction for our new school, RSM Christian.
I'll read it and you can answer it.
Doesn't make a sense to commit. The question, if you can scroll it down just a little bit so I can read it from the beginning. Does it make sense to commit to smaller classes that can be better managed through a crisis like this, social distancing, face covering, etc., if this means raising tuition? I don't think that raising tuition is on the horizon, at least not for this year. And I'll answer that with this. Typically, tuition gets raised every year, but it's our goal to keep it manageable. And it's really not based on whether we're at distance learning or whether we're at full-time on-campus learning. It's based on our cost to keep the school open. So the reason we want smaller classes is as much for better learning and a more one-to-one access from teachers and students than it is about social distancing. So our commitment to smaller classes is outside of the whole thing with social distancing. At this point, because we're in this time of concern, the smaller classes allow us to accomplish both. So we're hoping this season passes and we're not going to be dealing with this in the future. But it is a good question. But our commitment is to keeping tuition will be the same that's been published, and so that's what we're going to do for next year. And we hope to continue to keep our tuition really managed well. And that's why the more students we have, the more we can do with the tuition dollars.
That's a good question.
It says if we continue, there's a question that says if we continue distance learning, what are the benefits to continue paying tuition at a private Christian school? Let me define what the difference is between homeschooling and between distance learning. Homeschooling is when the parent's 100% responsible for all all curriculum, all instruction, all management, and that's homeschooling. Distance learning is facilitated by the teacher supplying you with the curricular for curricular materials as well as your videos, your instruction. This year we actually had the ability to exchange papers between the teachers and the students, and so if you don't put your students in a school like ours, your options are going to be public school. And when the shutdown happened back in March, we immediately began instructing. And if you know anybody that was in public school, it took them, some of them, a month, and then it still wasn't to the quality that we were able to provide. So you're still paying for the Christian curriculum, the teacher integration. You're still paying for them being there for you and instructing. It's a little different. It's difficult. We know it's not the best situation. But if you were to go to a non-tuition based program, you would have very little support. And if you talk to people who have been in that environment, they will tell you it was a nightmare. And I think if you talk to people that have been in our environment and other Christian schools that did a good job at distance learning, you'll find that it was worth the investments that the parents made. And so that's my response to that.
And I think, too, that, and obviously this caught everyone off guard. No one was prepared for this. There wasn't a school in America that was ready for this when it hit.
Right.
All of a sudden,
Absolutely.
boom, we're done with school. And, you know, you're trying to work on Google Classrooms and Zoom meetings or Hangouts, and we will be better prepared for the next time if this happens. Hopefully it won't.
Hopefully it
but
won't.
there will be, you know, the teachers that we have here have been doing it now for 3-4 months, so they're going to be better at it still.
And I know, coming from Saddleback and watching the last month or so that I've been visiting Mission Hills campus, what we did at both of our schools far outweighed what was happening on the public school. And I'm not saying anything against public school teachers. It's just a different beast, if you will, that they have to manage things a lot differently. They have to meet certain criteria and do everything. But the one-on-one attention that the students received, the teacher availability to have additional, not just during, I'm teaching my math class right now, but also if you need me to answer specific questions, I have office hours. So the teachers would have office hours on Zoom. The parents could email or text or call the teachers if there was something that they didn't understand, if their kids just needed a word of encouragement. And you also get all of us, and we're used to, if a student is struggling, reach out and say, hey, how can I help you? I'm not your classroom teacher. If it's not pre-calculus, I might be able to help you. But just the fact that they knew that there were additional people out there outside of their classroom teacher who cared about them and wanted to help them succeed as well. So I think it's not just the classroom instruction, it's still making sure that our kids are cared for academically, spiritually, socially. We want our kids to continue to grow. And I think the Christian schools have done a really good job of taking care of our kids and ministering to the kids, even if we couldn't see each other face to face, you know.
Well, plus we have a community here. Our campus has not been closed. It's been modified. And public schools campuses were closed. I mean, nobody was there. Our support staff in the office, myself, our teachers, anybody that was here, if you needed access to us, we were here. We could meet with you in person, or we could also do it through a Zoom meeting or through email or whatever else. You won't get that in a public school. You will not get that in a non-tuition environment. And so and I know sometimes you're like, going, well, why am I doing this? And this is why we're telling you this stuff, because it's community, it's relationship, it's better service, it's better education, it's more communication, it's implementing the latest technology tools that we have in order to serve you and your family. So another thing I do want to mention is that distance learning is not a new thing. Distance learning is being used by many, many high schools already. And if any of you have gone to school taking online classes, this is not a new thing. It's just now it's reaching down to the very lowest levels. Do I like it? No, I'm going to be honest with you. I always prefer that one-to-one conversation and that instructional model. But because these tools are here, this last season has really allowed especially our Christian schools to step up and gain new skills, gain new techniques for delivering education. And an example would be libraries used to be our primary source for research. And now that everything is digital and we're open to this world, it opens up a whole new world, teaching the kids how to find things and not just teaching them in the classroom, but also teaching the kids how to find out information on their own. This is an important time in our history. I'll say it again. Don't necessarily like it, but I do agree with we need to move in this direction. There's this concept, and I've mentioned this to you before, called an LMS, and that's a learning management system. One of the most popular, widely used ones is a program called Canvas. And colleges use it, many high schools use it, especially Christian high schools. And just so you know, this Monday we're bringing in some hotshot young educators that use these systems well, and our staff is going to be exposed to that concept and start the training on that. You guys know about RenWeb and you know about FACS. FACS and RenWeb already has a learning management module in it that we've never used. So we're taking steps to prepare so that if we instantly had to go back to distance learning, it'll be seamless. But at the same time, we're going to still use these tools to better communicate with you and give you better educational tools. It's just the world we live in, and it's a season of extreme discovery. We're learning new things. We're discovering new things. And I have a term that says if you were born after 1992, you're a digital native. If you're born before 1992, you're a digital refugee. And we don't speak that first language like the younger generation does. So all of us have had to make adjustments. And so as you as parents grow in your digital knowledge, we're growing with you, and we're growing our children. So that's a lot said, but I feel like you needed to hear some of those things, that we're really thinking about this, and we have a future and a plan and a strategy to become the best that we can be for your benefit as tuition-paying parents.
Okay, so there's a question about, will we be able to choose or request a teacher, or will teachers be assigned without parental input? The method that I've always used is to go to if your child's going into third grade, go back to that second grade teacher and get their input on what that student's teaching learning style is, to better match them to the teacher that has that same style. The teachers are with your kids educationally 6.5 hours a day. They really know better what your child needs in the classroom. That's personally the style that I am used to. But again, that's a conversation that we'll need to have to see if that has what's been historical. But the teachers really know your kids and how they best learn. And sometimes it looks different to you than it really does in the reality with the teachers. So that's probably going to be my first line of setting up classrooms for next year.
There's
and
a lot.
Student and friendships kind of come into that too. So.
There's collaboration that goes on in assigning those students. I came from a very large school where I was an elementary principal. We had 3 grades, 3 sections per grade, and parents can always give their input, but the final decision has to be up to us because we know all the dynamics. You don't know the dynamics that we know, and we ask that you trust us as we do that we're going to put your child with the very best person. And here's the thing, if that teacher wasn't worthy to be here, they wouldn't be here. Mm-hmm. Another thing too I'll just jump the gun on something that maybe we're not quite ready to announce yet, but we are really working toward what we call, in the education world, it's called learning communities. And these communities means that every teacher in the entire school is responsible for every kid. And you say, well, how do you do that? One of the things we're looking at is, our junior high has a departmentalized structure. And Mrs. Jensen and I were discussing the idea that both of us have been considering and using what we call departmentalized, and all the way down to as low as first or kindergarten, where every teacher in that grade level is responsible for teaching all the kids, and those teachers would be teaching what is their greatest strength. Therefore, it's all the teachers teaching your kids. It's not just one. You may have a homeroom or something like that, but it's not just one teacher. It's all of us. It's us teaching your kids. It's a learning community, and it's a model that works very well. It also is a way for us to teach our kids and our teachers to collaborate. We know that collaboration is the model for functioning in business now, and our school is massively collaborative. And we're creating even more ways to train your children to be collaborative and working with different teachers, working with groups and these different things. That's on our goal list. And it may not be fully operational this year, but we are definitely committed to moving toward that so that you get the best of every teacher that your child has exposure to. So there you go. And just so you know, we had originally sent out a communication that said we were not holding summer day camp this year. That was because we didn't know how we were going to manage that. With COVID and the restrictions, those have been lifted. So a survey went out yesterday.
Yesterday.
There's a deadline for that, and that's tomorrow. If you want your child to participate in summer day camp, K through 6th grade, we want you to fill out that survey. We're getting a lot of response, and it looks very much like we will probably have a day camp this summer. We're revamping that. You think it's good to announce who's doing it? You think that'd be okay?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay. We're still working out some details. So, but it's going to be new and improved. It's going to be better than we've done it in the past. So we can at least tell you that. So please let us know if you want to have that before we make the announcement that we're going to open it back up again.
Yeah, but I think they'll be very excited about the staffing that will be there this year, so.
So we have a question on facility improvements that may or may not be done before the school year begins. We've talked a lot about that.
Here's the thing. It's going to be awesome.
The plans look great.
I'm just telling you.
Really good.
We met with the board and Pastor Ryan and Mrs. Jensen came in and we looked at the designs that are there. Oh, Jesus is good. I'm just telling you. I've never been so excited at any school I've ever been for the plans that we have. There will be marked improvements. We're ready to announce some of that. I'm not going to do it right at the moment because I don't want to miss anything, but it's going to be good. You're going to notice a massive difference in the way it's been before.
So we have about 5 minutes left. If anyone has any more questions, we have answered them all.
We have.
We've done a good job.
We have 100%.
We have. That's an A+.
That's an A+ right there. We answered every question.
Here's one.
What about academic workshops over the summer? It's always been my desire to have a strong academic element in any summer program. So that's our vision. What'll happen this summer, not quite sure yet, but it is our goal. And I've run summer day camps in the past, and we've always had things like math reinforcement. We definitely want our kids to be getting exposed to the spiritual things that are so important in our school. So academics isn't really something that should stop when school's out. We should keep our kids sharp. You should be keeping your kids sharp and getting them involved with activities that will reading, and maybe just there's so much stuff online that you can tap into for fun, keep the kids' skills up, but we also want to be able to offer that service to you during the summer. What that looks like this summer, can't say yet, but I will tell you it is a goal for us to improve that area.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
we're done. If we don't get another question in the next 30 seconds, we're just going to sit here and look pretty.
That's not good.
And that's only Lori. Lori's the only one that can do that. So Mike and I are kind of out of the loop on that one.
Sorry.
Okay, another one's coming in. Will the students be using Google Classroom next year?
I think Google Classroom's here to stay.
Well, Google Classroom is the standard. And if you talk to any school, but Google Classroom is not the only tool we want our teachers to use. We want to use any other online tool that they possibly can.
Google Classroom, it's a good platform.
Yeah.
It's a good platform
Yeah.
to use.
To get
And
started.
so that will be constantly changing. But I'm hoping the question is you're asking that because you think it's positive. But Google Classroom will be continued.
Mm-hmm.
And as they get older and move into high school and college, so much stuff is online. Even if you go to class in a classroom, things still get turned in to a Google Classroom site.
Oftentimes, yes.
You're not going to turn in papers.
Yeah.
Paper is kind of almost obsolete.
Almost.
This is with us to stay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for joining us today. We've enjoyed producing these webinars for you and hearing your questions each week. We hope that this has helped for you to catch the heart of us and the future of RSM Christian School. As we enter into the new school year, we are very excited about what's going to happen. I pray God's blessing on you. This is our last webinar for the summer. We'll be talking about how we're going to do things like this in the future, but we feel like it's gone pretty well for a bunch of rookies doing this. And we hope that it's been beneficial to you. So here again, we're still available, email, otherwise contact us for questions over the summer. We are very concerned about what concerns you. And we also understand that you don't know everything that we know, and we want to make sure that we can tell you as much as possible so that your questions are answered and that you're feeling a comfort level. But I will tell you this, we're working hard. We're working together. And a finer team of administrators and support staff and teachers I have never had as a school administrator, and I thank God for that. And a finer group of parents and students I've never had. And I know that that Mrs. Jensen and Mr. Margy can say the same thing. So we're blessed to have you. We're blessed to be a part of your life, and we just pray that things will get better and better for you. Any departing words from our other panelists here?
No, thanks for being with us.
Yes,
Thanks for
thank
sending
you.
your questions in. Thanks for being patient with our answers. And again, last week I shared my email, so if there's anything specifically you want to email me and ask me, it's L Jensen, Jensen, at missionhillscs.org. Mr. Margy, would you like to share your email address?
No, I'm just kidding.
Just send it to me because, you know.
It's Margy, Margy at missionhillscs.org, and that'll be changing soon when we get everything moved over to the whole, all the
RSM.
rebranding, all the, the email and then the website titles, and that'll be changing soon. So I think somewhere July 1st maybe. So, but
And
thank you.
There are methods to get information or questions to us, Parent Square, emails, others. Don't hesitate. Don't hesitate. There's no such thing as a bad question.
Thank you guys
All right.
so
All
much
right,
for
God
being
bless
with
you
us
guys. Have
today.
a great
God bless you
summer.
guys.
Have a great summer, and hopefully you get some time outside the house.
And I wish tomorrow was the first day of school.
Yeah, yeah, we're going to send him to therapy, but that's okay.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
God bless.
Thanks.